is asking is, by creating those deities, aren't we indirectly encouraging people to think more and more of worldly things? This is the this is the thought, essentially. And then there is another one. There are 33 crore deities. It's a very wrong concept. We don't have, even in my class also, I would have referred, we had 33 crore gods. That's not 33 crores. That's a wrong concept. Koti in Sanskrit means a class, group, supreme. That's the meaning of Koti, not crore. That's the mistake we have. So we think, 33 Koti means immediately we think, it is 33 crore gods. They're not 33 crores. It is 33 types of gods. You ask, what is the proof of this, sir? This comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It's a very interesting story, or rather an instance is referred in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Yajnavalkya Rishi goes to attend a yajna performed by Janaka. And Janaka wanted to create a test, amongst all the great rishis. Whoever amongst you were to think you are the best, you are the most knowledgeable person in the group, let that person take those 1,000 cows. He has kept about 1,000 cows, separately. And in the others, no one had the courage to get up. Yajnavalkya got up from there and he asked his disciples to drive the cattle to their ashram. He said, take those things to our ashram, let's go. He started packing his bags and leaving. He just simply took the cows and started walking out. And all those pandits there, in the group, in the assembly, got offended. Because the fact that he is taking those cows means he is claiming to be the most knowledgeable person. They said, no, we don't agree to it like this. You have to answer all our questions. And they ask him, so do you believe that you are the most knowledgeable person? To which Yajnavalkya gave him fantastic reply. He says, I don't know about all that, but one thing I know, that I need those cows. Because I have so many students and I need to feed those fellows. Now I need those cows. I am taking the cows because I need it. Full stop, he says. Those fellows don't agree. They said, nothing doing. You have to answer all our questions. He said. And then very many, questions were posed. That's a huge portion in this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In that there are, 8 rishis ask questions to Yajnavalkya. The one of that comes is this, the question, the man, that rishi asks, how many gods are there? He said there are 108 gods. He gave a reply. To which that man again asked, are you sure? Tell me clearly, how many gods are there? I said, I'm sorry. It's not 108. It is 1,008. Then he gets more, hey, make up your mind and give answer properly. Is it this? How many gods are there? He said, no, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. It is actually 54. Then he said, wow, how many gods are there? And he goes on asking that same question and he goes on giving answer. Finally, he comes to a point where he says, how many gods are there? 3 gods are there, he says. Then he says, are you sure? There are only 3 gods, there's nothing? No, you will not change your answer, no? He gives a pause and says, sorry, it is not 3. It is actually 1.5. Ridiculous answers. And finally, that man, actually what happens at the end of the discussion is that Rishi dies. Because in an assembly of learned people, if you don't know what to ask, you are not supposed to ask. Shut your mouth. Don't waste the time of people. This Kala Deva will not agree that. He will not accept. He will tick you off. So finally, that man dies. There, finally, he asks that question. Please tell me, how many gods are there? He says, not many men. There are 33 gods are there, he says. There are 3 actually. Then he says there are 5. That 5 is not real. That 3 is there. And then 5 is there. What is that? He says, what is explanation? Then Yajnavalkya goes on to give explanation to each one. In that he says there are only 3. He says, essentially, what are the 3? He says this. There are Vasus, Rudras, Aditya. There are 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, and 12 Adityas. Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. Now don't ask me the names and all. I don't remember the names and all that. It comes somewhere. You can check it out. There's a Google is there. You can Google it. You don't have to even go in search of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and all that. 8 Vasus are there. There's 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas. 31. Right. Total. Then 1 Indra and 1 Prajapati. These are all Vedic, terms. Vedic gods. Over a period of time, those gods were taken a different format. For example, one of the Vasus taken out is Vishnu. Rudras were all taken as Shiva's expression. This Prajapati is taken as Brahma, etc. All these gods, came much later. This further refinement or further evolution or further changes as and when the nature of people changed. That's about it. It has got nothing to do with the deity. So to claim that there are 33 crore gods, I was reading that, I was just reminded. There is no 33 crore deities. It is a wrong concept. One of the misunderstandings we have in Hindu religion. If at all you say there are deities, gods, essentially we don't say there are many gods. Essentially we say there is only one Brahman. There is only one truth. Right? But it has very many manifestations. That manifestations of those gods were this 33. This Vasus and Rudras and Adityas, Indra. Indra is taken to be mind. Prajapati is the Vasanas. In a philosophical term, the Indra is taken as mind, subtle body. Prajapati, Brahma, is taken as causal body. Then this Vasu, Rudra, Adityas were nothing but the gross body and the world. You see, the Indriyas, Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, the Pranas, etc. All the other aspects were taken as those gods. the presiding deities of those particular elements and various dimensions of life. So that is the essence. In essence, what they are referring to philosophically is only these points. But they were all given a particular name. A particular aspect was taken. But essentially, there are not many. Essentially, there is only one God we have. That God has many expressions, manifestation. That manifestations were not all this. This is only one half. That's what he said, 1.5. One portion comes out. Manifestation is not total God didn't manifest. Only a little got manifested, expressed. Then it's not that, with entire electricity in the world is not what is coming out is being used by your system. Your system is using only a portion of the total electricity. Isn't it? Similarly, that's what he meant by 1.5, he says. And then he says it's not 1.5, it is 3. Then what is the 3? He said the manifestations are only 3. And then he goes on building it. He goes on giving explanation. That's not essential for us right now because that will go into, too much of confusions. But all that you need to understand is there are not 33 crores. It is 33 types. There are 33 different classes. The classes are only this Vasus, Rudras, Adityas, and Indra, Prajapati. This Indra, Prajapati is only one. One Indra and one Prajapati. 31 plus 2, 33. This is the 33, quoting. This is not, crores. And now coming to this question, what she has, asked. Isn't it that we have created, many deities? See, factually, it's the other way around. See, you are already running towards the world, right? Instead of you are rushing into that world to create a little barrier to the rush of yours towards the world, they have planted these gods. It is actually reducing your pace of getting involved in the world. It is designed for that. To put it in terms of psychology, you are already hypnotized by the world, right? You cannot hypnotize a person who is already hypnotized, isn't it? You can only dehypnotize a person who is hypnotized. And how can you dehypnotize? The one who had hypnotized you is the one who should dehypnotize also you. The same hypnotist. If some other hypnotist has hypnotized you and you are in the hypnotic sleep, I cannot come and wake you up from that sleep. Only he has to wake you. Only when he says, when I tap, you wake up. Only for his tap you will respond and wake up. I can come and tap, but you will not wake up. Everyone can come and tap, you will not wake up. Why? Because you are already in the hypnotic state. Similarly, you are already hypnotized by the thought of wealth, by the thought of success, by the thought of power, by the thought of knowledge, etc. Now, they bring in this idea of a particular deity to put a hurdle in your thought of getting involved more and more into it. So when you root it through the deity, the intensity gets reduced. It's not so intense. There is a diversion. Your thoughts are not directly going to acquisition, wealth, money, 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 money. It's not like that. So when you root it through Lakshmi, over a period of time, what happens? The thought of Lakshmi gets predominance than the thought of wealth. The thought of Saraswati gets more predominant than information, knowledge. Then what happens? Your idea of Lakshmi, Ganesha, or Saraswati, etc., whatever the God, whoever it is, through that when you go, it creates a possibility for you to wake up. So the route in which you have gone is the same way you have to take a U-turn and come back. To facilitate that U-turn, like you have seen, the chariot celebrations when they have in the temples, the chariots are wheels, how they turn the chariot, you see. Very interesting, phenomenon that is. All that they would be doing is they will be pulling it and put a hurdle. They'll pull it and put a hurdle. They pull it and put a hurdle. And it takes a turn. It's not like our, car has a wheel, you can rotate it to 45 degrees, you can turn it to 20 degrees, 25 degrees. There's no such thing. It will go only straight. There is no, adjustments in the wheels there for the temple chariots. Then how they will change the direction of it? Now they have to go, no. All 4 streets they have to come. And it's amazing to see that sight. How they turn that, I was really thrilled to see that. First time I saw, I remember, I was so thrilled. How are they going to turn this? Because everybody is pulling in one direction. Straight only it will go. But they put that hurdle there. And it's a knack of putting that hurdle. It takes a turn. That turn is a U-turn that you have to take and come back. These deities were given as the hurdles in you getting more and more involved. So it's not that because of the deities this is happening. In fact, it's like a few years back, in Tamil Nadu, there came a big issue. Actually, this so-called, great educational thinkers, they started objecting to conducting this moral science class. Because in the moral science class, what do you teach? They say, to a child. You go and teach a child. What are you teaching? Don't lie. You have to tell the child. The problem is the child doesn't know what is lying. Okay. Because of you fellows who have started this moral science class, you are the one who introduced lying to the child, and then you are saying, don't do it. If you stop that, the child will never know what is lying. Therefore, what? Stop all this. So, this immorality or lack of ethics and values and all that is depleting is because of moral science class, they say. And we don't know what to do. It became a big one, So, therefore, what are you supposed to do? Stop all these things, they say. Don't do all this. It's all waste. So stop it. And fortunately, few fellows had some buddhi to counter it because it looks very logical. Correct? No. Say, hey, the child is innocent. To that innocent child, you go and introduce this idea. And now you say the child is like this. What what nonsense is this? Therefore, what you are supposed to do? Don't tell the child this. This argument was really beautifully countered. They asked, okay, you people are all taken vaccine. How many of you have taken vaccine? All qualified people have taken, no? Vaccine. If you have not taken, you better take. Just because you have taken vaccine doesn't mean you will not get. There is no such thing, right? At least we get a satisfaction. That's what I asked. Are you giving glucose or what are you giving? Because maybe we don't know, to give it to a psychological thing, to people that something is given. So they can give a glucose also to you. And you will actually get fever also. It's also possible. The mind is so powerful. It can work. I say, is it really a vaccine or what? What is a vaccine? Corona vaccine. What is a corona vaccine? Coronavirus reduced intensity or coronavirus dead. The dead coronavirus is what you are injecting to your body actually. Or that same strength is not there. They reduce the strength of the virus and give. These are the two types of vaccines. Either it is dead or they reduce the intensity. In that there may be variations. 20%, 30%, 40%. That may be varying, all that. But essentially what it means is only what's reduced. But what are you injecting actually? Not medicine. You're not injecting the medicine. You're actually injecting the virus. Then why are you getting the vaccine done? Only if this is injected to your body, the body will be equipped to handle the original virus when it comes up, the live one, with full strength. That is why once that mutation happens, your vaccine will not work, they say. Because now it is a new one. So what do you have to do, sir? Again, what do you have to do? After 1 year, you have to put new injection, new vaccine, new vaccine, new vaccine. You have to go on. What is this? Is the same thing we do at the psychological level. It's that reduced intensity. It's the same idea. So when you are worshipping these gods, it will appear as though you are having so much of desire there. In fact, you will be appearing far more materialistic. You will be appearing far more indulgent, far more attached than the normal people in the world. But the difference is what, sir? The difference is only this. It's not that, this thought will be like that. So isn't it the introduction of this deities is causing us to get involved? It's not that, please. It's the other way around. And this introduction is a necessity one. Only to train your system to handle the onslaughts of samsara, the world. So it's not the other way. It's not that, we are because we are teaching this more values to the child, there is a deterioration in value systems. It's not that, please. We will be teaching all these things also to the child. Why? Because it's like giving a vaccine. Vaccine, what are you giving? The same virus is injected. which we want to fight against. What we want to fight against is immorality, unethical things, to which we have to introduce the child to unethical, to immoral. If you don't introduce it, it will never develop that fight. That's why the kids today have become super sensitive. Why? From the beginning, we are being constantly telling the child what? You are special, you are great, you are good, you are the best. We think, that is motivating the child. I'm not saying immediately you have to constantly keep telling the child, you are useless, you are worthless. You are, I don't know why you are born. At least to me, you could have been born in the neighbor's house. You This, I'm not saying you have to do that, please. See, but this constant, repetition and constantly providing things to the child much before even the child can even ask for. You see, even before they can ask for, you provide it. Straight away it is given. All pass. You don't have to write exams and all those things. Just pass. That's all. Automatic pass. Up to 8th standard, they said automatic pass. Thinking at least then the child fellow will come to school. They come to school. They take the books. They take all that. But they don't get educated. And when they come to 10th standard, suddenly you ask them to write exams. Perturb. Okay, you can say that, 10th also we will not have. Now that's how we have started changing things. From marks, we came to grades. From grades, now even we are removing that also now. Now we are making the next generation incapable of handling failure. Even a small no, they collapse. A small problem, a small emotional discomfort, collapse. I started talking, these words like, depression, all that has become common words. Yeah, I'm depressed today. I say, what do you mean depressed today? The words have lost its meaning. I'm really upset here today. Is different from saying I'm depressed. Now, they can't distinguish between what it is to get upset and what it is to get depressed. Everybody is depressed. Everything, why? They were never exposed to that problems. That little exposure is needed. Little no is needed for the child to grow well. If they have never encountered failures, they have never met failures in their life, it is a problem for them. For which they need a benchmark. They need a high benchmarks. To provide that benchmark is where these gods come into picture. When they keep raising the bar, they falter, they fall, they fall, they fall. They keep failing, keep failing, keep failing. In that failing and keeping that bar is where the real effort is. That effort is a training. That effort is the spiritual path. That's where all these deities come into picture. It's not there actually. It is how you make it. It's just a stone. It's just a wood. It's just a metal. You make a deity out of it. What is that is where the difference comes in. So it's not just the idea of having, the deities are wrong. It's not like that. There's one more question. Does this idea of giving vaccinations, is that not same rule applicable to social service versus social consciousness? Why Swamiji says that we should stop doing social service? I don't know where he said, to stop it. He said step it up. I have never heard. I don't know where you heard. Maybe he would have told you in person. I don't know about that. And introduce social consciousness. Only when social service is encouraged, social consciousness will be developed. Is that so? No. Social service, doing social service by itself will not build social consciousness. You have to work on social consciousness independently. Automatically, it will not transfer. See, social service, if that is the case, 10,000 NGOs are there in India. What is a social consciousness we have in the NGOs? It doesn't, automatically it doesn't translate. That is why he is distinguishing between social work and social consciousness. It's just two terms, okay? Don't get involved with the words, right? One is action. Another one is that alertness. See, they are two different things. He says, so much of concentration, so much of effort is put in to develop social work. You come to the side of social consciousness, what is effort being put? For all practical purpose, nobody talks about it. Right? The government has to give publicity, pay income tax. Understandable. Why? Because none of us want to pay tax. Correct. Because that's a responsibility. Government has to come today to tell you to vote in the election. There is a campaign done by the election commission. And so interesting to see, we just had, state Tamil Nadu, no? The state where you are right now. See the percentage of voting. Where is the least voting? Chennai. The entire state of Tamil Nadu, where is the least voting happened? Chennai. What is election day as far as all the Chennaites were concerned? Holiday. One day holiday for us. That's all. August 15th. Holiday. Gandhi Jayanti. One day before Gandhi Jayanti, tremendous sales of liquor. Liquor sales goes 40% more. Why? See, Gandhi Jayanti, we closed the bar. Why? People should not drink. Our fellows do what? One day before they buy and keep stock. Right? Shop is closed only one day, man. One day only it is closed. 40% increase. When the lockdown got released, the first relaxation came not for the temples, not for church and mosque and all that, not for those things. Where? Liquor shop. First thing they opened is liquor shop. First day itself sales. Like Rajinikanth movie ticket, no, first day, first show. Like that, prices were going up. Social work is easy. Social consciousness is not easy. That demands a tremendous amount of alertness of what we are doing. To exercise your rights, people have to come in. Now there is a group who is saying we should have online voting on the go. And we can do everything online. Why can't we do voting also online? Just to go stand in the queue for 1 hour, press a button and come back. That is not possible for us. Why? That social consciousness is depleting. We believe by compensating social work, we can cover it up. It will compensate. It will fill the gap, we think. That's where the fault is. That's what he says when he is distinguishing between social work and social consciousness. But it's not like vaccine. Social work is not a vaccine. You see, in fact, social work is a disease. You are taking it as vaccine. Like I was telling, no, instead of vaccine, they give glucose. Right? You can give a glucose and say, your vaccination is done, go home. That's all. So you believe what? You have got your vaccination done. But factually, what have you got? Only glucose water. This is what you have got. It is a fake vaccine. The real vaccination is the social consciousness. So if at all you have to compare, it may be little, stretching it, but if you want to stretch it, you can stretch to this extent, but not more than that. Now, many gods are there, many idols, and every god, every form that we see is conceived by human intelligence. Remember, many times you will find in the religions, even the religions who don't subscribe to idol, subscribe to places of worship. They may not subscribe to idol worship. That idol they will not, but places will be subscribed. Like Jainism, there's no idol worship for them. Original Buddhism, no idol worship. Right? Islam, there is no idol worship. Sikhism, there is no idol worship. But pilgrimage is there in all four. You see, pilgrimages are allowed. Because they say that places of worship is far more. That's what these people had, the Tirtha Yatras. The Yatras, they go, no? You go to Kailash, you go to, Gangotri, Yamunotri, this, places. Manasarovar. That's a yatra you go. That's what they, refer, pilgrimages. Every religion has to have certain practices. Remember, it is impossible that you can say there is no practice at all of anything, sir. And every practice started off with a particular recommendation. Someone must have recommended it. Right? That's what they say. There were over about 365 idols were there, it seems, in Mecca. Every day, one God. 365 days a year calendar. Every day, one God to be worshipped, one idol to be worshipped. He said, nonsense. Remove the whole thing, he said. Remove the whole thing. But he kept that stone there. All around the stone. That's what the historians they say. There's supposed to have been so many idols. How many? They said there were about 365 idols were there, it seems. One day, one idol. Remove all that. But he said, retain this. And that place should be kept intact. Jerusalem is important place. Vatican is important. That, that place is important for those people. Like even James also, they go to that mount. Sikadar mountain, they go. Where they're supposed to have been of 24 Tirthankas, 20 of them attained mukti there, liberation. Liberation in the sense died. Right? The death of those 20 people happened in that same mountain. All of them went to that place. That place is so sacred for those people. But, something you have to keep, remember, because it is impossible for the human mind to hold on to abstract, nameless, formless, nothing concrete. You need something concrete. Of that something concrete, very subtle practices took sound. The gross people took place, something visible, something relatable. In that relatable thing, they took these idols. Very many forms, very many gods. And many stories also spun around those idols. Because only then you can connect. Otherwise, you can't connect. You can't relate to that. Of that, they said, we have a family here. God has a family here. Shiva, his wife, Parvati. And he has two sons. Or strictly speaking, he has three. You see? First son is Ganesha, second son is Subramanya, third one is Lord Ayyappa. Three sons of Shiva. And what about Vishnu? Vishnu has two daughters. Those two daughters were married to the second son of Shiva, Lord Muruga. And this Ganesha is Brahmachari in South India. North India, he has two wives. Ulta in this one. In South India, Subramanya is Lord Muruga. Very, very popular deity of, and there is a fight also people have. See, Subramanya is different. Subramanya is, Brahmin god. Lord Muruga is Dravidian god. That's Aryan god, this is Dravidian god. And what these fellows have done, these guys have come and invaded this and they have converted and fought. And somehow these guys are so smart enough to, fuse. And they made these two one. These are stories. Now you need to have those stories for what? For whom all the stories were given? And how does the birth of Subramanya happened? Ganesha, you all know the story. Parvati created Ganesha. Now for Shiva's turn, what he has to do? If Parvati can create Ganesha, Shiva says, I will create Subramanya alone. Out of him came Subramanya, they say. And what did he do? Whole story. The entire story of Subramanya is what you find in this Purana, Skandam. There are 18 Puranas, we say. Of the 18 Puranas, biggest one is Skandam. Skanda Purana is the story of this. Even Kalidasa had written Kumara Sambhava. In fact, that Kumara Sambhava, that word, the title for the book, Kalidasa says, I took it from Ramayana. Because in Ramayana, Rama, taught the story of Subramanya. In the Puranas, there's a style. In Mahabharata, you'll find this a lot. For every story that you hear, there is a Palastuti for it. Nala Damayanti, you hear that story, Nala Upakyanam, you say. And similarly, Harishchandra Upakyanam. Like that, there are many stories are there. Every story you read, every story you hear, always there is a Palastuti. All Puranas, you will find that same pattern. In Mahabharata also, you will find that pattern. You don't find this pattern in Ramayana. See, in Ramayana, only for that story of Subramanya, this Palastuti is given. You hear the story of Subramanya, what you get out of it. Palastuti is only that. What will I get, man? Okay, I hear the story. What will I get out of it? I need to know, no? Otherwise, without fruit, we will never do anything. So, he gives. In that, Valmiki has used this term, Kumara Sambhava. This is how he calls it. Sambhava is happening. The happening of Kumara. Kumara is referring to Subramanya. And it is so interesting to see the Subramanya, that, the word Subramanya. In fact, in this dictionary, Sanskrit, dictionary, this Amarakosha is the dictionary you have. One of the dictionaries. There are many dictionaries are there. One of the popular dictionaries is this Amarakosha. Written by a Jain person. He is a follower of Jainism. And this Amarakosha, Kosha is the collection of words. Amarakosha, immortal. Amara is immortal. It's a Sanskrit dictionary. In that, he defines every God sound. Every word is explained. What is the meaning of that word? Like Samuel Johnson wrote English dictionary, I didn't knew this till I joined the academy. I thought dictionary was written by Oxford, Cambridge. I had no clue. There's somebody called, Samuel Johnson, and he is the one who wrote first, dictionary in English, 18th century. So I didn't know. I heard first time, like that. In Sanskrit, this Amarakosha, there for that sound Subramanya, the meaning given is Swami. So the moment we say God, without referring to anything, Lord, in English, Lord, when we say Lord, if you use Swami is that. without reference. It means Subramanya only. That's the meaning of the term, he says. He gives a meaning for that. This is Amara portion. Dictionary meaning. Dictionary meaning of Subramanya is Lord. So without any reference, if you see Lord wherever, immediately you need to understand what? It means Subramanya only. Now, what is this Subramanya's picturization? Now, what is interesting is they are only focusing on the picturization part. They are not focusing in terms of the story part and the meaning in that story. What is a value do you derive from that story, and all is not the context of our discussion. There means we have to go a huge portion that is. Now we have to study the entire Skanda Purana. Now, if you have to understand Subramanya, at least Kumara Sambhava you have to study. Now we can't be doing all that. Why we can't be doing all that means I have not studied. So therefore, don't ask me. I know Skandam, that's about it. If you ask me, have you studied Skandam? No, I have not studied. Kumara Sambhava, I know. If you ask me, have you studied Kumara Sambhava Ishwara, then I will say, no, I have not studied. I know only this much. So I am giving you. So the context of our discussion is to know the picture. When you visualize the picture of Ganesha, when you visualize the picture of Vishnu, when you visualize the personality of Subramanya, what is that representing for us? Subramanya, if you see, the color of him is blue. In our language, wherever we use that word blue color, every god has different colors, right? So if you see Lakshmi, she is in different color. Saraswati has a different color. Shiva has a color. Vishnu has a color. Brahma has a color. Each god has a particular color, right? Krishna is a color. Rama is a color. So each god has different colors, and more or less those colors are all common. You find overlapping this color, that color, and white, black, blue, red, green, and things like that will come. You see, it's not just the basic colors. Don't ask me for in red itself. There are now, if I ask Purni, she will say there are 5 reds. I'll say now to our eyes everything look red only. Everything looks yellow only. Everything looks blue. Right. He says, no, this is violet, that's indigo, this is this. To my eyes, everything looks blue. We don't know. Like that, we don't have. These basic colors only we think. This blue color, whenever you see, it indicates infinite. Vastness. Blue means that infinity. It's an indication. That's about it. So don't take it literally. They're all blue. Now, which blue, sir? There is a thing called Ramar blue. Now this Ramar blue, if you say, now which blue do you ask me? I don't know. Right? So blue color represents infinity. What is the logic of it, sir? The logic is they saw. When you look up the sky, it's blue color. Cloudless sky, when you look up, a bright day, it's blue. Ocean, you see, it's blue. So huge, there's no end to it. It's endless. So to represent anything endless, they painted blue. That's all. This blue color that you see is of Lord Subramanya, represents only that infinite expanse of reality. Then, as many gods, Subramanya also holds the spear, a javelin in his hands. Weapon. Every god has a weapon. Right? Rama has a weapon, Vishnu has a weapon, every god, Shiva has a weapon. Modern Shiva has, trident. Vedic Shiva has bow and arrow. Shiva also, updated his things, upgraded to. Similarly, Subramanya has the spear, this trident. And if you see the shape of it, it's very interesting. He's holding that. It's a man of perfection. Remember, every idol, every god represents perfection. What is the state of human perfection? What is he holding? He wields that weapon, a weapon to destroy something. Weapon is used to destroy something. So, what is the weapon he is holding? What is he intending to destroy? All these people were intending to destroy their desires, vasanas. Now, with what you can destroy that is like Ganesha, we saw the trunk of Ganesha representing the gross intellect and subtle intellect. Right. Similarly, the spear held by Subramanya also represents the intellect from a different angle. If you see the shape of it, it has a sharp edge, goes very sharp, and then it goes broad and deep. So your intellect should be that of having the sharpness, the vastness, also depth. Your knowledge, your wisdom, or your buddhi, whatever you use, it should be sharp enough. Also, it should be broad enough. Broadness is there, sharpness there. There's no depth, it's of no use. So it should have the depth also. All three should exist. So using that type of intellect, Subramanya destroys the ego. The destruction of the ego, or holding that ego in his captivity, is what is represented by the peacock holding a snake. You see the picture, Subramanya rides on peacock. He is also blue. Peacock is also blue. Right? He rides on that thing. And what is that peacock doing, sir? Peacock, you will find, having a firm grip on that snake, his feet. That's the picture. You see next time, or I'll see if I can, show you the picture. I think most of you would have seen it. Those who have not seen can Google and see. Picture of Subramanya. When you see that picture,
your phone's in airplane mode, so I can't help.
Your Subramanya is in a position of standing or leaning, you'll see. And there's a peacock behind. Sometimes you will see him sitting on the peacock also, seated on that, a picture. Just a painter's, thing that's about it. Now this peacock holding that snake, and what is interesting is the snake is not dead. The snake is alive. Okay, it's not a dead snake. It's a live snake. That snake philosophically means the ego. The ego in the sense, not arrogance. That's not what we are referring to here. Ego means the sense of individuality. I am different from you. You are different, I am different. That difference is what is referred as ego. You need to capture that ego. How can you capture that ego? How does this man of perfection capture that ego of his self? He rides on a peacock. And of all this, the animals, you find peacock is so unique in its vanity. Of all animals, it has a tremendous vanity, pride. You must have that pride. Follow me carefully here. Today you have pride. Your pride is on what? On the achievements or the quality of your equipments. The pride that you are experiencing today is sounding or smelling ugly. Foul smell is there in this pride. There's no fragrance in that. It's a foul smell. Why? Because your pride is dependent on the equipments of the body. How my body is. There's a pride. Or what is achieved through the body. Or the mind. Or the intellect. How intelligent I am, how great my memory is. That's what mind is. Mind is nothing but your memory. Mind is nothing but your intelligence. And how good I am, in my analytical sense. I can analyze. You can give me any problem, I can solve it. I'm so good at mathematics. I'm so good at this. I'm so good at, I can predict, sir, June, what was the condition of this stock? I'll tell you today. You see that. This is understanding. This is intelligence. This is, you're proud about it. Or you're proud about what is being achieved by that, achieved through that. Instead of that, he says, have the pride that I am that infinite self. Instead of experiencing this pride of your body, mind, and intellect and its achievement, start experiencing the pride of the self, the reality. Claim proudly, Aham Brahmasmi. That vanity, that I am that supreme reality, that arrogance. With that pride, you hold the snake, the ego. And so interesting, this, why this snake is connected to ego is the fangs carry the poison. As long as the poison is inside the snake, it doesn't harm the snake. There's no harm. The moment the poison is thrown out, it is destructive. The mind, which is in the ego, in you, if it is contained within itself, no harm. The moment your mind turns extroverted, it turns poisonous. Only then it is poison. That's why the snake's poison doesn't kill the snake. Even though it is inside the snake, it doesn't kill the snake. It kills you and me, not the snake. Why is that? It's poison for us, not for it. Similarly, the mind which is contained within is not poisonous. You hold it, you hold it, you hold it. They say that's how it turns into a germ. a precious gem it turns, they say. I don't know whether it is true or false, but the story is that holding that snake is scary. That's what happened to Moses, the Old Testament. You know, the voice of God said, "Hold the serpent, catch hold of the serpent." He got so scared. He said, "You want me to hold the serpent? Why?" He said, "Catch hold." And he took a plunge and caught hold. That snake turned into that staff, the rod of Moses. Every time they were in trouble, it is that rod helped them to flee to Israel. He goes and touches the ocean, it parts and gives way for these people to run away. And when they are all suffering in the desert for water, he goes and touches with that rod. Pure water springs forth, quenches their thirst. Whenever they are in trouble, it miraculous one. Suddenly it gained miraculous powers. How? Hold that snake. That is what the peacock is doing. It is holding that snake. Subramanya, when you do that, what happens, sir? You have 6 heads and 12 hands. Peculiar fellow. 6 heads means 6 brains put together is the brain power of that one man. 12 hands put together is the 2 hands of that one man. That shows how vast, how strong his thought and deed, how dynamic, how deep and how much he can hold as thought level. The vastness at the thought level and dynamism at action level. So don't think literally he has 12 hands. That's how picturization will be given. See, 6 heads, trying it will be like, I have 6 heads for him. Brahma has 4, he has, 6 heads. Now you will say, Ravana is better, sir. He had 10 heads. See, what it means here is only that. To represent it, they gave it out. Don't take it literally, they had that much. It's not that. It only representation of an idea. An idea has given a form. So that idea is what? Is the state of perfection from a different angle, totally different angle now. How we saw a perfection, Ganesha, is one picturization. And then you have to put Subramanya on top of it. Now you see Ganesha plus Subramanya, all that you put together, you get a grand picture of what is that human perfection. Not enough, they said. You have to add what now? Then they said you have to add Shiva, you have to add Vishnu, you have to add Ayyappa, you have to add this, you have to add that. You keep on adding. It's like a painter goes on adding, layers and layers of it. It's like 3D picture, In layers they paint. Goes. You add all that and you see the picture. It is so grand. But each one had presented it from one angle. So don't, try to compare. That's where it looks, absurd. To compare. Who is powerful God? Ganesha powerful or Subramanya powerful? Those who worship Ganesha will say Ganesha powerful. Those who worship Subramanya will say Subramanya powerful. And in Subramanya also there are 2 types. Is Muruga powerful or Subramanya powerful? There's another problem. That is why our fellow, he said, why all that, man? I absorb everyone in one, all in one. That's why this God is a most powerful God, richest Hindu God is this fellow. And what is he? Till today, there is a fight. You know that, no? Balaji. You say, in North Indians only will call him as Balaji. South Indians don't call him Balaji. You know, that's a interesting one to see. Tripadi, when you go, Venkatramana, he says, Venkatajalpati, say, there is a confusion even today, fight. You know, it is actually Subramanya. It's not Venkatajalpati. It's actually Subramanya. Say. Another group, say, it's not Subramanya, it is actually Shiva. Why? Because that's the only place where it is Vishnu, but they use Bilva for Archana. Bilva is given only for Shiva. Bilva is not done. Tulasi is what is liked by Vishnu. Bilva is for Shiva. Under it's a clear demarcation they have. Like that. Now Bilva Archana is done there. Now Bilva Archana you do. How can you do Bilva Archana to Vishnu? Therefore, what Bilva Archana is done only to Shiva. Therefore, they say that is Shiva. One. There's another fellow says, no. It is not that. It is actually Ambal. It's a lady. What is the proof? Look at his dress. He's wearing sari actually. Not Pitambara. No. Abhishek was done when? For him. There's no. Therefore, what is it? Actually, it's a lady. What is Ambal actually that is? Now, these fellows went in and they converted that into Venkatachala. Actually, is not. Then there is another group of fellows who claim this also. The third one is this. They say this is actually Subramanya. Why? Because all that mountain god is Subramanya. Muruga is called as mountain god. So wherever temples are there on top of a mountain, it is understood that is for Subramanya. That's all. And not only that, the term Bala is child. Bala in South India, Bala is referring to Ganesha. North India, Bala is referring to Muruga, Subramanya. That's why they call him Balaji, with respect. Even though he is a child, but you can't call him as, child. You got to call them with respect. Because he belongs to high family, big family. Child he is, Shiva Parvati's parent. So he can't be calling him, normal. So they call him Balaji. The G sound is added. So that with respect. But what is he actually? He is Subramanya only, it says. What is the proof? The proof they give is there is a tank. If you go to Tirupati, there's a tank there. Every temple will have a tank. You see, that tank, what is the name of the tank you ask? They say it is Swami Tirtha. Now, at the beginning itself, I told you. The meaning for that word Subramanya is what? Swami. Swami means who? Subramanya only. Therefore, this temple is actually Subramanya temple. All in one, fused. That's why Balaji is very powerful. One God. You go, Perumal is taken care, Vishnu is taken care, and Shiva taken care, Ambal taken care, Muruga also taken care. All of them are taken care of. 4 in 1. There's a fight there actually. There's Ganesha, there's Subramanya. Now remember, all these gods, every god is a grand painting of human perfection. Picturized, captured in a particular way. visualized by them. As students, what are we supposed to do is not to keep comparing the two pictures. We need to take those pictures and fuse it to gain the depth. Otherwise, you can't get the depth. The depth will not be seen. You need to mix it. Like, the older ones, they put those two, together. When they put those two pictures together and see through, you get that 3D pictures, like that. To get the depth of perfection, you need to fuse them. So don't try to, compare. Try to understand each one uniquely and then fuse it. Now we have seen two. Ganesha, one dimension of perfection. Beautiful picturization. And so many stories also around, spun around, each one. Now Subramanya has so much, how many we can cover. We can't cover all that. This Janma would not be enough to cover all those aspects. So we can't afford to do those things also. We move to the other side. So that's why we take the philosophical side of it and say, this is the other angle through which we give the perfection, idea of perfection, human perfection presentation. Right. We'll see you in the next class with different, picturization. Thank you. Hari Om.